In the last video, we made a cold oats breakfast potion that hit over 22 neurological enhancement and neuroprotective pathways. And that was our 10 pathway breakfast oat potion plus our concentrated golden milk shot at the bestest tier, all right here in the potions playlist. Now we're going to compare the Fletcher's breakfast potion to the top 5 breakfast choices in America today. Let's get into the science and see what we're brewing here in the States. There's going to be lots of great infographics in this, by the way, so go ahead and pause when you see one, read all the great information. I'll touch on most of it, but you can go ahead and screenshot those and save them for your own notes, so you don't even have to take your notes, just steal all my graphs. Totally fine. I just don't want to make the video too long, so I'm just going to keep it moving. You can pause on your own time. So breakfast number 1. We've all had it, grown up with it, we all got some faves. The cold cereal. The cold cereal bowl. Nothing more classic than a bowl of cereal. But let's see what we're working with, especially when it comes to classic children's cereals that we grew up. But let's see what we're working with, especially when it comes to like classic children's cereals that we all grew up with. We're going to break this down into what it does, what it doesn't do. Bullet points on each one since we got a lot to cover. So cold cereal, what it does. Blood glucose is going to spike 140 to 180 milligrams within 30 minutes. Insulin is going to fire. Glucose crashes below fasting baseline. So your glucose is going to crash lower than if you hadn't ate because of like the sugar content here. And that crash is what you're feeling when you like, oh, it's like 10 and I can't think, but I need to work. You know, that's glucose dropping, tanking. So your prefrontal cortex is very glucose sensitive. So when your blood sugar drops, your focus and your decision-making skills are going to drop with it. Not good, no bueno. Now here's what cereal does not do. Zero bioavailable iron. Even the iron that they are fortifying it with, and fortifying means when we have these like processed foods that don't have a lot of nutrition, so we add vitamins and minerals back in them. Unfortunately, a lot of the time, they're not potion masters like your buddy Fletch, so they're not giving you a bioavailable form of iron. They're like legit just throwing iron in there so they can tell you it has iron in it, and then you eat the iron, but it's not the way you actually need it to absorb it in your body and be useful. So there's zero copper, zero manganese. And again, I'm saying manganese, not magnesium. These are two different things, both very important. No B6, so all your neuromelanin cofactors, since we're on our neuromelanin train right now, all those things that you need to produce that neuromelanin, you're not going to get in the cereal. You're like 0%. Not one of them are off the checklist. So you're getting zero prebiotic fiber. And if we go back to our microbiome episode, prebiotic fiber is the necessary thing that you need to build the microbiology in your gut that allows you to even properly process plants into useful medicine that gives positive effects in your body and mind. We have zero, counted as zero, polyphenols, zero neuroprotective compounds, period, in the cold cereal, the average classics. So, that's 0 out of 22. I'm already looking real good here. Okay, so breakfast number 2, the classic fast food breakfast sandwich, right? Kind of like an egg McMuffin type deal, right? So the egg, you're actually getting something here. We're spicing it up a bit. We're spicing up a little dash. We've got some egg, right? So the egg, you're going to get choline from the egg yolk. Choline is great because it goes into being acetylcholine, which is going to be good for your memory and learning. So you've got lutein, and zeaxanthin. You go ahead and say it better than I did. And those are going to accumulate in your neurotissue, right? And support processing speed. That's good. That's going to make you quicker. You'll be the best one on the improv team. So you're getting a full amino acid profile. Excellent. And that's going to include tyrosine and phenylalanine, something we've talked about a lot here. So that is going to be a neuromelanin precursor. Excellent. So that's real stuff. That's, excellent. Go egg, right? But here's the problem. Because I'm not going to let you off easy. We're going to do all the science here. I'm not going to lie to you. So here's what happens. We've got refined flour in our biscuit, right? / muffin, whatever you want to call it. And the glucose spike here is going to be almost the exact same as cereal. So horrific, horrible for you. Going to crash your brain. You are going to be one of the stupid people roaming the earth. So we've got highly processed sausage and bacon, or either or, maybe both. So that's nitrates plus sodium, and that's going to elevate your cortisol. And remember, chronic stress is horrible for you. Chronic stress can literally kill your brain cells as if somebody punched you in the skull. And then a weird little thing we have going on here, when we add the cheese with the egg, we're actually blocking iron absorption because of the calcium. Strange little thing that happens there, unfortunately. So if you have this deep fried, or if you microwaved it, the DHA in the egg yolk is going to oxidize before it even reaches you. Unfortunate, and so many people are so highly addicted to that damn microwave. So there's no fiber in here, no prebiotic anything, no polyphenols, and no bioavailability amplifier. So even the little dashes of good that you could possibly extract out of this thing, there's no bioavailability amplifiers to make it actually useful within you and extract the absolute highest content of it that you could. So our pathway count here, we actually hit 2 to 3 pathways from the egg, but the rest of the compounds actively undermine those 2 to 3 pathways and inflame the body. So when you're in an inflamed state, as we've said before, you can't do good. Like, your body can't heal or excel and do super health, extra health type of things if you're in an inflamed state. It can't even do regular health type of stuff. So having these inflammatory things like the bread and the highly processed meats and stuff, it ruins any good you could have got out of here. So breakfast number 3, pancakes. We all love a pancake. I remember I was lucky enough to grow up knowing my great-grandfather, and he would always make us a bunch of pancakes, all the great-grandkids running around, and I don't know why I acted like a shithead and I would never eat them. So, pancake. You might not be too surprised what's going on here, because we're really just dealing with a hunk of dough. So we've got refined flour batter. That's going to be just a pure glucose delivery vehicle, just full stop, all glucose. So maple syrup on top is going to double the load, which it's going to be worse. Butter marginally slows absorption, but it's not going to change anything too much. So there's no protein of any significance here, and no precursor loading. We've got none of our good precursors that would give us, a pathway to start enhancing neurological function. There's nothing of that. There's none of that happening. And there's no fiber, so the gut bacteria is literally starving, and your gut bacteria is good for you, so you don't want to starve it to death. You gotta feed your gut bacteria. You might not have pets running around in your home, but you've got some living in you. You are a universe, and inside you there is a world of living entities, and you must feed the good ones and not feed the bad ones. The bad ones take over, suddenly you become bad person. Remember that. No polyphenols, no cofactors, no neuroprotective compounds, right? So one thing though that could enhance it just a tad, if you're obsessed, you gotta have your flapjacks, right? So if we're dealing with like real pure organic maple syrup as opposed to like syrup like that, the crap that they try to push on us. And I get it, real maple syrup is expensive, but it is honestly a lot better for you because you're going to get a hit of manganese and a decent hit for the dosage that you're doing. Even if you only have like a spoonful of real maple syrup, that's a good hit of manganese, and it tastes excellent, and it's still good for you, and it's still sweet, and you have your whole breakfast tasting thing going. That's great. So you could at least have a little hit of manganese if you're really using real legit maple syrup. And most people aren't, especially if you're going out and getting pancakes. They're not giving you real maple syrup. And even though you're getting the manganese, which would be good with the real maple syrup, you still can't really do anything with it without having iron, copper, B6, and vitamin C already present, especially if you want anything decent happening with feeding your brain health. Breakfast number 4, bacon and eggs. So again, we talked about eggs. We've got choline, lutein, tyrosine, phenylalanine, some B vitamins. So that's like 3 or 4 genuine pathways. And we don't have a refined carbohydrate, so our blood sugar is going to be a little bit more stable with this, and there's a little less inflammatory ingredients to undermine the decent ingredients within the egg. But the problem is bacon is so processed. The nitrates are like really bad for you. And the nitrosamines at a high heat, it's actually a group 1 carcinogen, so like horrific for you. So this alone, like bacon alone, and like these processed meats, and honestly a lot of unprocessed meats too, they are so inflammatory that the good stuff within has a really hard time absorbing into you, and it actually undermines other ingredients in your food. It's kind of horrific. So when you're trying to heal yourself, you need to understand what stuff is inflammatory on your plate. Because if you don't, I'm not trying to fully change anybody. I would love to put people on the right path, but I get it. You're gonna eat how you want to eat, but if you need to know that if you want to truly enter a state of healing and you got something wrong with you, even if you're not gonna do this for a whole lifestyle, these are the things that will undermine your entire healing process. Having even one inflammatory point on your plate can undermine everything. So if you want to enter a healing phase, you need to have periods of time, long stretches of time, either long stretches or a whole lifetime, where there are no inflammatory points, and you will start to just right? And I've already seen it like within myself. I've truly come out of a fucking hole. I wish I could like explain it to you guys better. Video's already so long, I might have to cut this shit out. Bacon, high sodium. It's gonna amplify your morning cortisol spike. Bad. 0 prebiotic fiber. Gut-brain axis gets 0 support. Serotonin production gets nothing. No vitamin C. Iron from eggs is not being activated. Absorption is very low. No B6 separately. Dopamine conversion can absolutely stall. No complex carbohydrates happening here. No slow release glucose. By mid-morning, you're running on cortisol, not fuel. No polyphenols, no bioavailability amplifier. So pathway count here, 3 to 4. But we have a deficit everywhere else. But at least we got like 3 to 4. So the bagel is like the least defensible of all five of these, right? One bagel is equal in refined flour to 2 to 3 slices of just average horrible white bread. The glycemic impact is steep and fast. Very steep, very fast. So cream cheese is a saturated fat and marginally slows absorption. Otherwise, it adds nothing useful. Tiny amounts of fat soluble vitamins from the dairy fat, so you're getting a little A, you're getting a little D, but not a lot. So you're getting zero precursors, zero cofactors, zero polyphenols, zero fiber, zero prebiotics, zero neuroprotective compounds, and again, zero bioavailability amplifier. So pathway count, zero. Count it zero. And just to remind you, and just in case you don't remember, what does Fletcher's breakfast potion have? 22 pathways. 22 pathways. The highest that we had here with our standard American breakfasts, I think the highest we got is 4. That's maybe 4 depending on how processed that meat was. So that's all I'm like. You gotta look at it like this. You might be having a breakfast that literally has zero neurological pathways being activated, and then you go and have a lunch that has maybe 2 being activated, and then you have dinner and maybe you hit one other pathway. And that's the average person. Like, I'm not even making fun of anybody. That's the average person. That's how we've been raised to eat. But the reality is, when you put the science together and you really start thinking and you start using that last brain cell enough to grow a couple more, you realize you could be having a 22 pathway breakfast. You could be having a 36 pathway lunch. You could be having an ancient mole, dark, almost black, activating over 80 pathways with a bite of salsa. That's how it used to be. And I'm going to get into those ancient recipes soon when I get done with this stuff. But yeah, think about that. How many neurological pathways of enhancement, neuroprotection, rebuilding neurological architecture are you hitting when you eat? Because you are what you eat. And you should understand that phrase a lot more intimately now. Because your capacity to think and be and grow is based on how many pathways are you hitting for specific function when you consume food.